Today I'm going to discuss on few topics on switch. Okay, how to create logical switch, how to do switch firmware upgrade, how to do zoning, and how to configure a new switch. So these are the topic that I will discuss today. I have included this topic in this session because I have removed the REST API, right? So that's why I've included some other topic, because I saw that REST API is not being asked in any of the interviews, any of the JD. It's not there, so it will not be useful for you guys. Okay, in JD it is not there, but in JD they're asking for firmware upgrade, they're asking for zoning, they're asking for XLP tunneling, so they're asking this thing, so I've added this. Okay, so I'll tell you a few things. So first I'll go with logical switch. Okay, and uh, one thing guys, if you see any JD, okay, in Naukri, and if you see any topic on Hitachi which I have not covered, you can let me know. Just mention the JD. Okay, I will cover that thing. Okay, I will try to cover. Okay, so that you are competent enough to give the interview. Okay, so same thing I do for NetApp also, it's not a problem. So right now I thought that I'll give only 4 trainings: Hitachi, NetApp, Ansible automation, storage automation and cloud automation. I thought not to give Linux, and also I removed Linux because it was too much. It's very difficult to. And I also give training on stock market, bro. I have more people in stock market that I have in storage. Okay, so that is also taking it very difficult for me. So anyway, so let me speak about logical switch. So what is logical switch? Basically, when you have a switch, when you have a brokered switch, okay, and you have two different tenants. Suppose two different client is there. One is Firmenich, sorry, not Firmenich. One is Diligenta, one is Friends Life. Okay, and then what you can do, you can create logical segregation of switches and use those logical switches for the different clients. Same thing we call in Hitachi as SLPR, storage logical partitions. In NetApp we call it as IP space, which is for different tenants. Okay, same thing here is logical switch. We call it as virtual fabric also. Okay, so I'll also create some paint or something. One second, let me check. Paint. Okay, let me use this paint. Okay, and maybe small I'll do. This big is okay. Then another one I will take. And then this is here. Okay. And then okay. So this is a switch. Okay, this is a brokered switch. This is another switch, and both the switches are connected through ISLs, physical ISLs. Okay. So what happens? Suppose you want different tenants. So what you will do? Initially you will create a base switch. Base switch means default switch is there, right? You mentioned that okay, this switch is base switch. Then what you will do? You will create logical switches. Okay, so small logical switches will be there. One second, not this. One second, delete. Small logical switches. Okay, so these are all logical switches. Okay, this is one. Okay, this is another one. Okay, and this one is there. Okay, and I don't know why I'm not able to delete anything. I want to delete this anyway. So what is happening is that what I'm doing is I'm creating logical fabric. Okay, and I'm allocating, moving the port from my default switch, base switch, to logical switches. Okay, and I'm also creating one physical ISL. Okay, and after I enable the logical ISLs, this logical fabric will be able to talk to the other logical fabric, and it should have the same fabric ID. Okay, are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes,
You
we
already heard me,
can.
right? Yeah. So same fabric ID you need to keep, so that the logical ISLs got to know or came to know that okay, this I talk to this switch needs to talk to this. You just enable the logical ISL. Okay. So, and this is why we need to do this. So I gave a training to one person in Netherlands. So he had a configuration where he had logical switch on the FCIP router, and then he created LSAN for replication purpose. Okay, LSAN, like geopolitically, geo not politically, sorry, geological distance was there. Okay, so that's why they used FCIP router 7000 series. Say they converted the FC to IP, and they moved to some like 200 300 kilometers or 500 kilometers. Okay, and on the FCIP router they create virtual fabric, so that they had two fabric, and the virtual fabric, the port that they use for replications, they segregated those ports from the data ports, which they use only for provisioning. Okay, one second, one second. So these are the thing. Okay, so they have the FCIP router. In the FCIP router they had one logical switch, and that was talking to the logical switch of another FCIP router. Okay, and the logical the port, they have zone, they have they have moved the ports where the front end port was added. Okay, which is used for replication only. Okay, like GAD or like HUR. Okay, long distance. Okay, HUR. Okay, so replication ports, those we call it as bidirectional ports in Jupyter storage or nowadays storage. Okay, we call it as bidirectional port. Okay, initially used to call it RCU initiator, RCU target. Okay, so let me just tell you how to configure that. Okay, so normally when you want to enable the virtual fabric features, right, so we need to enable the VF mode. Okay, VF mode needs to be enabled. Okay, so but normally VF mode is enabled by default. By default it is enabled. Okay, if you want to check whether the VF mode is enabled or not, so what is the command to do? FOS config -show. So this is the command you need to execute to check whether the VM mode is enabled or not. If the VM mode is not enabled, then what you need to do? FOS config -enable VF. Okay, this is the command you need to give. Okay, so when you create a logical switch, right, it is automatically will be enabled if you have this thing. Okay, and normally when you create the logical switch, first it will be empty, it will not have any ports. After you create the logical switch, you have to disable the switch to configure it and set the domain ID for the logical switch, and you can assign the ports to the logical switch from your default switch. Okay, you can optionally define the logical switch to be base switch, or you can have the default switch as base switch, but at a time in one switch only one, either virtual fabric or default switch can be base switch. Okay, base switch means main switch. So whatever firmware update commands you run, right, you run that on base switch. Okay, yeah. So to create the logical switch, what is the command? The command to create the logical switch is ls cfg. Somebody join. This is the problem. Somebody will join always later. Oh no, nobody join. Okay.
No, no, it's
So
me only.
ls cfg hyphen create. Okay. Then you need to give the fabric ID. Uh, Fabric ID. Okay. So that you need to give. This fabric ID is very important. This fabric ID has to be there in logical switch. Otherwise, logical ISLs will not be fruitful. Okay, it has to be there. So when you create this, okay, so the logical switch will be enabled. It will be enabled, and the logical ISOs will come online immediately, and it will cause the fabric merge, and it will lead to domain ID conflict. Okay, it can lead to domain ID conflict. The domain ID is same. So to avoid this problem, what you need to do, you have to disable the logical switch. So first, what you need to do, after this, right, what you do, you create, you log into the logical switch using this command, set context. Okay, set context. Then you need to give the fabric ID of the logical switch. Okay, once you give this, so you will enter to the logical switch. Then you need to disable the logical switch. Okay, like switch disable command you can use, switch disable. Okay, you can use disable the logical switch, and then what you can do, you can configure the logical switch. Okay, now we can configure the logical switch. So to configure the logical switch, what the command you will use, you'll use the command configure. Okay, configure, this is the command you will give, and then it will ask for your domain ID, fabric ID, those things you can give, and whether you are having any license or not, so those things you need to give here. Okay, so once you give this, what you do, now you need to enable the logical ISLs. Okay, so how do you do this? To enable the logical ISL, you need to use lf cfg space hyphen l ISL, logical ISL. Okay, enable. So this is the command you need to give to enable the logical ISLs. Okay, now what you need to do, you need to move the port from your default switch to your logical switch. So for that, you need to give the command lscfg. Okay, lscfg space hyphen config space 5 space hyphen port. Okay, you need to give the port number that you need to give. Suppose I give like 5 to 10. So from 5 to 10 port, I'll be adding those things here. Okay, so these are the things we will do. Okay, and once this is done, right, once the logical switch is configured, so how you see this, whether it's there or not, is the command ls cfg space hyphen show space -n. So in this command, you'll be able to see the logical switch, you'll be able to see the fabric ID, you'll be able to see the switch name, domain ID, all these informations you'll be able to see using this command. Okay, and if you want to change the logical switch fabric ID also, that is also possible. How do you do that? lscfg space hyphen change 5. So you are changing 5 to 7. Okay, new FID is 7. So suppose your FID was, after giving the set context, right, you logging into the logical switch, then you can do this. You can change the FID, fabric ID. If you want, you can change the fabric ID. Okay, now we'll discuss about firmware upgrade. Firmware upgrades. Okay, so before you do any firmware upgrade, right, firmware upgrade. Okay, so before you do firmware upgrade, you have to ensure what is the switch model. Okay, so according to the switch model, suppose it is G3, G630 or G620, these are modular switches, or generation 7, this is data switches. Okay, or generation 8. Okay, so according to that, you have to download the firmware upgrade package from the Broadcom site. Okay, so the package will be downloading from the Broadcom site. You can give a request, you can go to the download section and you can download those package. And what you need to do, you need to put that package in your FTP server, FTP directory. Okay, FTP server. Okay, and then the first thing what you're doing is download the firmware package and keep it in FTP server. Okay, firmware package should be according to the model and version, according to switch type and stable n-1 version, okay, and you'll keep it in FTP server, okay. And the second option that you need to do, what you need to do, there are different kind of switches. Some switches will require TrueFS certificate, some switches will not require. So if it requires the TrueFS certificate, so what you need to know, you need to log into the Broadcom website, okay, and there you'll have the options like my dashboard, my cases, SAN reports, knowledge base articles, TrueFS certificate request. So you have to click onto the TrueFS certificate request and you need to give the serial ID, serial number and your email ID, so that the XML file, the TrueFS certificate will be sent to your email IDs, okay. The XML file, it will generate an XML file and it will send it to your email ID, okay, your client email ID. So once you have that thing, right, so you need to install in your Rocket switch, okay. So the command you will use is license space hyphen install space -h, then you give the FTP server ID, the IP, okay, 8.9. whatever, okay, and then you give the protocol -t FTP, okay, then you give the username, you give the username, okay, then -p password, you give the password, okay, and then -f, you give the FTP path, okay, where the package is there, the XML file is there, okay, start.xml, okay, and then you'll be installing this, right. So good, it will show as license install. And how you see this whether installed or not, you need to run the command license space -- show, and you'll be able to see whether the TrueFS certificate is installed or not. And then what you need to do, you need to ensure that multipathing is there. Multipathing is there for host that is physically connected to the switch that you are upgrading, okay. So you see that, okay, multipathing is there for physical, okay. So you need to see that, and we need to ensure that if the multipathing is not there, then you need to ensure that redundant processor there. Suppose you are upgrading a switch in Fabric A, then you need to ensure that Fabric B path is there for the host which is physically connected to that particular switch that you are upgrading in Fabric A, okay. Otherwise storage will remain unavailable during the firmware upgrade process, because HA will be the nodes will be rebooted, switch CP blades need to be rebooted, okay. So now what you need to do, after taking care of all prerequisites, you also need to make sure that your FOS version is compatible with server HBA and storage and other switches of that fabric, okay. So you need to make sure this your Broadcom will make sure, okay. Then what you need to do, you need to log into the switch using admin privilege, okay, and you need to give firmware, okay. Before that you need to take the backup, switch backup. First take the support step, okay, support step, then you need to take config upload, right, config upload. This will take the backup, okay. You can copy the backup in the FTP server, okay. Then what you need to do, you can run this command firmware download, okay. So when you do firmware download, right, it will give you the FTP path, your FTP server IP, protocol, directory. So you need to give that where your firmware package is there, so it will take it. And then once this is done, right, once you execute this, HE reboot will happen, right, HE reboot. So once the HE reboot is done, HE reboot means soft reboot, okay. So firmware download status command you need to give. So if update is running, so it will show like update is running, okay. After then it is done, right, after the update is finished, then you need to give firmware show command, okay. So that's what you need to give. Okay, so this is the way to do in CLI. If you want to do the SAN management, right, in SAN management what you need to do, SAN management tool, okay, SAN management. So you can, option will be there to, one second, somebody is pinging me, one second. In SAN management tool, right, so you can take the support step using just because it's a GUI, right, it's very easy. You can take the configuration backup also. You can load the latest ifs file, okay, there, and then you can upgrade the switch. You can add the Troopers license also. And once the switch upgrade is done, right, then what you need to do, you need to check the health status of the switches. Okay, so how you do it, this is the way to do it. You have to run the command nss show. Okay, so it will show you what are the name server information is there, like what are the switch, what are the HBA are connected, the HBWP pin numbers, the storage front end for WP numbers, whether there is some issues or not with name server. So it will show all these things. And also you need to check fabric show command, okay, to check the ISL connections like that are connected to the other switches. And also you need to check the switch show command. Switch show command is why, because sometimes some port might go to the G port state. If it is not able to verify, it is not able to initiate the port. Okay, so it will go to the G port. So you need to make sure that no ports are G ports. Those are showing as in port, E port, or A port. Okay, so those things you need to make sure. Okay, yeah, so these are the things you need to do. So now I'll go to zoning. Okay, zoning. Okay, so in zoning, right, we have many things in zoning. We have soft zoning, we have hard zoning. Okay, if you are using NPIV, then you should use soft zoning. Okay, not hard zoning, not port and domain ID zoning. Okay, you just use WLP number zoning. Okay, so that you need to use. Why do you require zoning? Because if we do point-to-point connections or direct connections, okay, then we cannot use that same storage port for other host. Okay, so for that purpose we use zoning. And we also have use switches to have redundant paths and everything. Okay, different fabrics, so it makes the configuration as modular. Normally in zoning, what you do, the zoning, it will have like full mesh or half mesh or core edge fabric. So in core switches we'll have director switches, which are like more expensive, more modular switches. There will connect the storage front end ports, and in edge switches we connect the host HPS. Okay, and the storage, the core switches will mainly be upstream switches from where the traffic will flow to the downstream switches. Okay, so these are the things are there. So let me tell you the zoning. Okay, I have done both soft zoning, hard zoning, and mixed zoning, but I prefer to do soft zoning. Why? To make things complicated, right? Mixed zoning is not a good idea, but there was mixed zoning in one of the environment. I think people have probably did testing or all. Mixed zoning means you're mixing both soft zoning and hard zoning. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, so the first step that you need to do is you need to create aliases. Okay, the ali create is something which you want, you cannot, I mean, you can skip it also. Okay, the reason why we do ali create is, দেখতে হচ্ছে এগুলো খুলে নি, খুলতে হচ্ছে, পূজা খুলে নি এগুলোতে। So the reason why we create aliases is because if there is some issues with some host or some zoning or something, right, it is easy for us to do troubleshooting, and that is the reason we create aliases. In our environment, there was one zoning where there was no aliases, and it run into some issues, and I had a lot of difficulties. Even now I'm not able to find out what is that. Okay, even now after trying for so many things. Okay, and that is the failure of my predecessors, previous team. And they did a lot of failures, bro. They deleted the deploy VM, and because of which I'm not able to expand the space in software defined storage, bro. I told the client that I will install a new storage array and I'll migrate to the storage array to fix this issue, okay? But for that downtime, I need to wait for the downtime window, bro. That's another problem. It's very difficult to get. Anyway, so we create the allocate, right? So for allocate, what we can create allocate? We create the allocate for HBA, and we also create the allocate for our front end ports, okay? Then alley is created, okay? Then what we do? We create zone create, okay? Zone create, okay? In zone create, what we give? We give the zone name, okay? Zone name, okay? And then we give comma and then space and then HBA alley, okay? Semicolon storage FED alley, okay? That you need to give. So we created the zone create fine, we created the alias create fine, okay? And you need to check whether the zone is created correctly or not using the zone show zone name command, okay? So you need to do this, okay? And normally your configuration database configuration will be already created. There are two type of configuration database in brokerage switch. One is defined configuration, one is effective configuration. Effective means which is running configuration, defined means which is saved but not enabled, okay? And you can have only one configuration, like one defined configuration at a time. If you try to create a new configuration, then the old configuration will be disabled, okay? So you should not do that, okay? If you're having different virtual fabric, then we can create different zoning database in different virtual fabric and default switch, okay? And there is a LSN concept is also there, which is mainly for replication purpose, FCIP routers, okay? You'll not believe, bro, I created LSN on back in 2011, still now I'm using LSN. So all the technology is changing, some things are always same. I don't know when LSN was invented, probably in 2000. I don't know when it was invented, but it is still in use, okay? Yeah. So once you do the zoning and everything, okay, then what you need to do? You need to do CFG add, okay? Then you need to give CFG name, and you need to give the zone name, okay, that you are adding, okay? Zone name, okay? And then you need to CFG save and CFG enable, okay? And then after everything is done, you need to give FC ping, and give the WLP number of HBA, okay, comma WLP number of FED port, okay? So that you need to give. So it will show you it is zoning properly or not. If it is zoned, it will show as zoned, otherwise it will show as not zoned, okay? So this is the thing that you do in zoning. So you know, there are a lot of things are there in switch and everything, okay? And switch configuration, right? Switch setup, okay? So what do you do? So there are some prerequisites in switch setup. So first you have to get the IP address, subnet and gateway address, okay, for the switch that you need to put, and then you need to log into the switch using the default password, which is basically password. So your admin and password will be your credentials which you use to log into the switch initially, and then after logging to the admin, then you need to give the command IP addr set command, okay? You need to give this command, and then you need to give the IP address, subnet mask, gateway, these things you need to give there, okay? Then what you need to do, you need to set the date and time. So you need to give the date command, and they have to give day, month, year, okay? You need to give day, month, year, and then what you need to give, you need to give the time zone. So TS time zone is the command. So suppose it's US Central, so you give like US Central. Okay, so that's what you need to give. Okay, so once you do this, you need to verify the license that you have. So you need to give license space hyphen show command you need to give to verify the license. Okay, then you need to disable the switch. Okay, because you want to modify the domain ID, right? So you need to disable the switch. So you need to give like switch disable command you need to give. Okay, disable the switch, and then you need to configure the your switch using the configure command. Here you need to give the domain ID, fabric ID, everything, and then you need to give the uh, enable the switch. Okay, switch enable, you need to enable the switch. Okay, and suppose every port will have some port speed, some BB credit issues, BB credit something, right? So if you want to set the all the ports as per the default value, so you need to give like port CFG default command you need to give. Okay, so these are the things you need to give. And suppose you have your dynamic ports on demand license, so what you need to do is automatically it gets enabled, but if it's not enabled, if you want to reserve some port, so you can give like license port space hyphen reserve, then port number. Okay, you need to give, so it will reserve the dynamic ports on demand license, which is very important. Okay, okay, so that's what you need to do. Okay, and then you need to reboot the switch. Okay, and it will take all the configuration and everything, and you are done, you are done. Okay, so these things you need to do. Okay, so guys, do you have any questions? Let me drink some water once again. Yeah, so guys, do you have any questions? Nanda and Rajdeep, do you have any questions? So this what I'm teaching you, right? This will be very important for your interview and in your work also. If suppose you have not done this, you have not gotten the opportunity to do this work in your own environment, in the interview you can tell them that I have created logical switch, I have created LSAN, I have done firmware update, I have done zoning. Zoning everybody does.
Yeah, yeah.
You can tell them that you have created switch configuration, you have done. So those things you can tell them.
One thing, suppose this is a physical switch. We are doing configuration for logical switch. So will the config? We have to keep the configuration backup, right? And so we will require a downtime for the LS configuration, right?
No, for logical switch you don't need downtime for logical switch creations. No. For physical switch
Okay.
creations, yes, uh, because you are doing the thing for the first time, yes, because you need to reboot it, you need to switch disable, switch enable. But for the logical switch, you don't need to. You don't
No,
need to.
suppose
When you are, yeah, when you are
it
doing
is a
switch
it,
yeah.
suppose it is a working environment, and
Mhm.
the switch previously the switch was a physical switch. All the ports were N ports or F ports. So we are converting it to logical switch, the working the existing switch. Then what will be the scenario?
So if you're converting to logical switch, nothing. You just what you're doing, you will be creating. Uh, Initially, what you're doing, you'll be creating a logical switch. You're disabling the ISL, logical ISL, okay, and then
Hmm.
you'll be moving the port, okay, and then you'll do switch disable and switch enable, but inside the logical switch only, using the command set context and fabric ID of logical switch. That's it. You'll not be touching the base switch or the default switch. It will not impact the existing fabric. No, it will not impact because we created logical fabric when the switch is online only. We have not
Mhm.
shut down or we are not taking any downtime for it.
Okay.
It's an online
Okay.
configuration. But if you are having a new switch configuration, right? The new
Mhm.
switch obviously you need to power it on and do the things, right? So it will take some time. to be
Okay.
on the fabric. But you do not need to create zoning or anything, because the configuration database will be propagated through the ISL.
Hmm.
Okay, because what you are doing, you are not creating any LSAN here. So you're just connecting the E port, right? So
Yeah.
uh, it will just propagate the configuration database. That's it. Not do anything, because we created the switch configuration also here, because most of the time our switch is getting faulty, mainly in the, because this modular switch, right? So if the management port is faulty, we have to replace the switch. So we're doing this. We like did for 5 switches here in my own environment. I did for 5 switches. Decommission also I did. Okay, configuration also I did. Okay, for 5 switches.
Okay. And
Yes.
one more thing, suppose we need to migrate a VM from one server to another server. So those connections, so the VM has a connectivity with a different SAN switch. So we want to migrate it to another server which has its own SAN switch installed in the enclosure. So and both the so by default both the domain ID of the both the switches will be one, right? So do we need to change the domain ID of any of the switch?
Yeah. Of course, you need to change, because domain ID is same, means domain ID conflict will be there. And
Yes.
if you want to make both the switches in same database, right? Same zoning database, right?
Yes, for
So
migration we have to do that, right?
yeah. So you need to change the domain ID. Yes, of course you need to change the domain ID. Otherwise,
And
zone segmentation will happen.
yeah, and for that any downtime is required to change the domain ID.
Yes, it's required, because you need to disable the switch. Yeah, it's required. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
required.
Yeah, got it.
Because
Thanks.
that also I did for back in 2017, 17 or 16. I did that. 2 switches. My manager was like, I was also a team lead, but I was not managing my team. I was just working as a L3. Okay, so the other person was managing my team, right? So he is now in Dubai. His name is what? Uh, Mujahidul Islam. His name is, yeah. So that guy is in Dubai. He still talks to me sometimes. Okay, so he's working storage only. Storage, like he's infra guy there. Like 4 to 5 years he's working there. He was a good guy. But I used to do most of the work, like the configuration work, and he was the one person who's managing the work, like managing the team only, like whether the other juniors are working well or not. He used to sit out in Gurgaon. I used to sit in Hyderabad location, and the team was in Hyderabad. Even the Gurgaon people were there, right? Team, right? So they are still connected with me on Facebook, I guess. So the thing I'll tell you, that is very easy to do. But if you face any challenges in your own environment, right? If you get something like that, you can connect with me, okay? I'll help you. It's not a
Yeah.
problem. So that's
Okay.
what I did for many people. Okay. So my friend, right? One of my friend is there, right? Sayan. So he's very good in NetApp. He works in HCL company. Okay. So he's very good in NetApp. He always does something new things in NetApp. Okay. So he needed my help for switch bucket switches, so I helped him. So, and as you are training, so once the training is over, you will always be connected on Facebook. And whenever I'm doing new trainings, right, I'll be also starting another batch, okay, on Hitachi again. So that also you can join the sessions to repeat the sessions, okay. Again, I'll start another batch, so there will be, I think, 3 people will be there. One Hitachi batch and one storage automation batch. I'll be starting, okay. So
Okay.
you'll be able to see that. And once this after this session, right, I will take
Mhm.
sessions on thin image, GAT, and Quorum. So thin image and Quorum I'll do fast, but GAD will wait for some time. Okay, once I get some once I get some some activity, right, I'll take the screenshot this time. Okay, end-to-end
Mhm.
screenshots, and then I'll share with you after reading the IPs and all. IPs and host
Okay.
name and all,
Okay.
okay, and the documents, yeah. So I'll share with you guys, because we did GAD 2 times. I did not take the screenshot anything, and it went fine, bro. And it happened within 1 hour also, not like long time
Okay.
it did not take. So, but we did in CLI. In GUI, it takes more time. In CLI, it takes less time. Okay.
Okay.
So, and one more thing is there, CRC error, right? CRC error.
Mm-hmm.
So there
Cheers.
was, yeah. So you can mute yourself, bro, because the voice will come, recording, right? So what happens is that I'll give you one example. uh, Let me give you an example using the NetApp. Okay, so CRC error is there, right? So what you need to do, you need to log into the NetApp array. Okay, suppose you're getting a lot of emails that CRC error is there, so you need to log into the NetApp array using admin credentials, and then you need to go to the particular node using the command node run -node. Okay, node name you need to give, and then hyphen command ifcfg -a. Okay, so that you need to give. So what it will do, it will give you the all the things like port errors. Okay, all the errors it will give. Okay, on that particular all the nodes. Okay, suppose you get to find one node as port error, one NetApp node is having port error, then what you can do, you can check whether the port error is transmitter or receiver end. Suppose it is in receiver end. Okay, CRC receiver end. Then what you need to do, you need to replace the SFP on NetApp port, NetApp side. Okay, and if it is in transmitter, then SFP on switch port needs to be replaced. Okay, and if it is QSFP, right, QSFP in NetApp, right, so the first step what you need to do, you need to make the logical interface as auto revert false. So leave auto revert as false. Okay, then what you need to know, what you need to do, you need to migrate the leaf migrate to another port which is not part of that QSFP. Okay, then NetApp needs to replace the QSFP, and then you do leaf migrate to its home node and home port. Okay, and then you change the auto revert as true. Okay, so these are the steps you need to do. And if it is SFP is having faulty, then you replace the SFP. The SFP can be replaced by your data center team. It does not, your broker team does not need to come. Okay, and then again, if some problem is that loopback testing needs to be done, and that testing will be done by the broker team. Okay, you cannot do it. I also don't know how to do that. Okay, loopback testing, because I have never done it. Normally the vendor will do it. They will have some cable and they will do some loopback testing. They will have some devices. Okay, which I do not have. Okay, so these are the things we do. Okay, so one of the, see, you go to the JD in Naukri, Hitachi JD, and you see the JD is copied and pasted for most of the openings. So why JD is copy pasted? Because it's I think the HR is probably making the JD, I'm thinking, otherwise it will not be copy pasted. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so do you have any questions, brother? Hello, do you have any questions?
No.
No, right? Okay, so these are the things. Okay, and this will help you, bro. This will help you. Okay, and in future also, if I add something new in some next patch, right, suppose every time new things will be coming in. So if I add something in new batches, right, so I'll anyway, after a few days I'll be adding that person in that group, right, the main group, and you can join the sessions. Okay, so what we have left is thin image, GAT and column. Thin image column will do, but GAT I will take some time. Once the task is coming, I will do GAT. Okay, so next session I'll probably schedule something on thin image at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, because at that time Rajdev will be free, right? So 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Okay, I'll add it. I'll schedule the session because it uses real hardware, so that's why I cannot schedule like instantly. I have to wait. We can schedule like 1 or 2 days after also. So, okay, thank you so much, brother. So let's connect, drop this session today, and I'll share the recording to all the people. Okay, bro. Chalo, bye. Bye.
Thanks.